Yo, what's going on, G-Dog family? Shout out to Football Analysis. We're going to be going over the biggest winners and losers for the first 3 rounds of the draft. And honestly, I want to make my own video on this, but I want to piggyback off someone else's ideas because I feel like personally, I got a lot of knowledge, but I don't have the most knowledge. So I want to see what other people are thinking to add my input here and there. You did what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get straight into it because I feel like there's a lot of steals that happened in the draft, a lot of good picks, a lot of bad picks. Well, let's see how everything went down. Oh, that didn't work.
In today's video, we will be discussing the biggest winners and losers from the 2026 NFL Draft through the first 3 rounds, and I think we have to start with the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
In the first round, they traded back with the Chiefs to get the player they wanted all along in Spencer Fano, and while those are a tense couple of picks to sit through, hoping your guy does not get selected, they still selected Spencer Fano, they still drafted Casey Concepcion, and then they drafted a player that I certainly didn't think was going to be there at pick 39 in Denzel Boston. They also drafted Emmanuel McNeill-Warren, and for me personally, where I had these guys on my board, they selected 4 top 30 players in this class. Everybody gets their jokes in about the Browns, but this is a tremendous job by GM Andrew Berry.
That was a very good job, and a lot of people are not going to understand why they drafted the way they did, but they had to get their tackle because last year's offensive line was despicable. It was disgusting. It's, whether it was going to be Shedeur, Dillon Gabriel, Joe Flacco, whoever was going to be behind last year, it was abysmal. Now, this year, they needed to step that up because they obviously are trying to build a winning football organization. They're trying to build a winning team. They're trying to change the culture of the Browns. And the only way to do that is to get your solidified tackle, your solidified franchise player at tackle. So you definitely need that for whatever quarterback's going to be starting with. That's Stein, Dillon, Shedeur, the new quarterback that just drafted from Arkansas, whoever it might be. Now, with Casey Concepcion, I feel like in Denzel Boston, they obviously needed this because the only person I remember from the wide receiver room last year was Jerry Jeudy, and we're not going to act like Jerry Jeudy was the best player on that team last year. So this was a much-needed upgrade, much-needed boost to that position, and then the safety position was something they lacked in last year as well, so they had to get that taken care of, and they also got Austin Barber, another tackle from Florida, so they have a little competition in the tackle room, and competition just breeds greatness at the end of the day.
Is how you really rebuild a roster the right way, and
Correct.
my hat goes off to the Cleveland Browns for having the draft class that they've had through the first couple of days through the 2026 NFL Draft. Now, Austin Barber was a player they took at pick 86. I don't think that was a bad pick or that was an overwhelmingly great pick by any means. But whenever your first 4 picks are Fano, Concepcion, Boston, and Emmanuel McNeill-Warren, guys, that is a tremendous draft class. And the biggest thing with the Browns is they simply need to bring in better football players in the building, and they should have pretty substantial rookie production in 2026, just like they had last year. And they had a great 2025 class. It follows in 2026. I don't think that they have the long-term solution at quarterback on their roster at the moment, so...
See, that's why I have to see that say that you're wrong. I feel like Shedeur Sanders can't be the long-term solution. If Shedeur can't be the long-term solution, Deshaun Watson can at least be a viable starter. And you also have the quarterback that you just drafted from Arkansas. He's a project, I would say, but he's definitely a solid QB, better than some of the QBs that are drafted ahead of him. I do feel like Dillon Gabriel needs to get traded, though. Too short, too slow, makes bad passes, can't read the field correctly. He's just not a good quarterback, honestly. He was barely a good quarterback at Oregon. You know what they say about Oregon quarterbacks, they're system quarterbacks. And honestly, there hasn't been one Oregon quarterback that I've seen personally in my lifetime, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that actually was worth it. Marcus Mariota won a Heisman, overrated. Dillon Gabriel, overrated. There's some other people in between there that I can't think of right now, but all of them were pretty much his system quarterbacks. And I feel like that's why the current quarterback went back for another year because he was like, yeah, I just need to soak up all this money because once I go to the league, I'm going to suck.
Player, if it is going to be a guy drafted in 2027, this is a much more attractive situation than people may initially think or realize. Now, another winner from the 2026 class so far, we are actually staying in the AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens drafted Vega Ioane at pick 14 and pass rusher Zion Young at pick 45. Now, I will openly say that I am higher on Zion Young than consensus. I had him as a top 20 player in the class, but for the Ravens to draft a player that is really good against the run, really good as a pass rusher,
Right.
who's also going to go to an advantageous situation for him to personally succeed in because of Nnamdi Madubuike being in the same defense, and
Right.
of course having Trey Hendrickson on the other side,
Definitely.
and also given the fact the Ravens selected Mike Green in the second round last year. Guys, the Ravens are building this team the right way. I really love what Eric DeCosta has done, or what he did with the first 2 picks in Vega Iwane and Zion Young, and especially with Vega Iwane, I do think that there is a good chance in a couple of years we are talking about Vega Iwane being, I don't want to say a draft steal because he was still a top 15 pick or top 14 pick in the first round, but a player that we kind of question why other teams let slip. I would be kind of surprised if Vega Iwane is not a quality starter for the Ravens throughout the duration of his rookie contract.
He will be a quality starter for the Ravens, I feel like, because they needed someone on that offensive line to boost it up, especially with losing their center. They definitely needed someone else on the offensive line to add some depth and add some size, some spaz, you know, some star power. You know what I'm saying? They needed that. And Zion Young is also a good pick for every reason that he just said as well. But he also was super productive in Mizzou. One of the reasons Mizzou was even able to get back on the map. So they really locked down in the trenches for the first two picks, and that was good because as far as skill position goes on offense and defense, they're kind of solid for the most part. I will say Jacoby Lane was a great pickup from USC because they didn't have a lot of big body receivers. You know, you got Zay Flowers, but you don't have a big body receiver that can go up and get the ball. Jacoby Lane, he's big, aggressive, high point the ball. He's going to get a touchdown or two. He's going to head top some people. And I feel like this is honestly a great addition to the Ravens locker room and to the wide receiving core because now you have 2 threats that you got to worry about. One on the inside, one on the outside. Jacoby can play the outside, and then my boy can play the inside. I forgot his name. Sorry, excuse me. I just said his name. Zay Flowers can play the inside, and you also have Rashad Bateman. So it's just, you know, you have more depth and you can line them up in different ways.
I'm also a big Zion Young guy, like we established. Thought the Ravens walk out of this class, or I think the Ravens will walk out of this class with 2 good starters. Now, Jacoby Lane, admittedly not a fan. I thought there were better prospects available for them at pick 80, but whenever you can walk out with 2 top 20 players in the class, I think that is really good roster building by the Baltimore Ravens. Now,
I liked it.
The New York Giants are up. This is, of course, a team that, you know, John Harbaugh went from the Ravens to the Giants, so I thought we should kind of transition from the Ravens to the Giants as well. They selected Arvell Reese at pick 5 in night 1. They selected Francis Mauigoa at pick 10, and thought both players were top 10 players. I thought Arvell Reese was the 3rd best player in the class. I didn't think that Arvell Reese was going to be there for the Giants at pick 5. I don't know how many people actually did. And if you would have...
Honestly, I feel like this was a great draft so far for the Giants. They got Arvell Reese. They needed some help on the linebacker side of things as well because they already have 2 edges. You know, already had 2 edges, so that wouldn't be a problem at all. They need also some help on the offensive line, so that's why they ended up picking that tackle from Miami. So I feel like this was good depth pieces, you know, because especially Arvell Reese can rotate between the edge and the linebacker position. He's used to playing both anyway. So I feel like this is great. Arvell Reese is a physical freak. Definitely someone you need on your team. Definitely a good top 5 pick. Francis Mauigoa is definitely another good top 10 pick. Then we have Colton Hood. He could have won in the first round. I personally think he should have won in the first round. But Colton Hood has been locked down since he was at Colorado. I've been following his career. Definitely was super locked down in Tennessee. Shout out to Jermon McCoy, too. He should have got drafted way higher, but he had some problems with his knee. Apparently, they say his knee is degenerative. But Colton Hood and Jermon McCoy were 2 lockdown corners last year, and it's great to see Tennessee's back on the map. Now, with Malachi Fields, I feel like this is also a good pick for the Giants because they need some help along with Malik Neighbors. They got Malik Neighbors. They don't have anybody else. So this is going to be a great pick for them because now they have someone to balance out with Malik Neighbors. So now they have 2 wide receivers that can get the job done because Hyatt, this didn't pan out, you know, and they also do already have a tight end because they took the tight ends from the Ravens. So I feel like this is a good pick for them.
Arvell Reese at pick 5, I think that a lot of people would have taken a quick glance at Jermach and said that you are an idiot. There's no chance he gets past pick 3 because the Cardinals will take him for themselves or somebody will trade a lot to go up and get Arvell Reese. So for the Giants to walk out with what should be 2 quality starters in Reese and Mauigoa is already great. I don't think that this is going to be a repeat of 2022 when they selected Kayvon Thibodeau at 5 and Evan Neal at 7. I really, really like both of these prospects, and I think Mauigoa is going to be a long-time starter for the New York Giants.
Definitely.
Colton Hood, thought that was a good start to night 2 for the Giants. I was kind of surprised he wasn't a first round pick. I had him as a top 25 player in the class. So in terms of draft value, being able to select Colton Hood at 37
Definitely.
as a top 25 player, another great job by John Harbaugh's New York Giants. There's been a lot of discussion that, well, this isn't exactly Joe Shane's draft. So if you think that this is John Harbaugh's class, then you can really see his fingerprints on this class with how the Ravens used to draft and with how the Giants are attacking the 2026 draft.
Definitely, this is John Harbaugh's team. At the end of the day, this is definitely his team, and he's making his presence known. I feel like that's something the Giants needed because am I the biggest Harbaugh fan? No, but at the end of the day, the Giants needed something like this because they've been pretty buns since Saquon and Odell left. So they needed something like this. They need to push a new direction and push a new type of football, a new brand of football they're going to play. So honestly, I feel like it was a good draft so far, and I'm actually gonna make my own draft video as well because I want to go over each class in each division. So I want to go over the AFC North, South, East. I want to go over the NFC. I want to go over all of them. So I'm gonna make that video right now. Don't forget to tune back in for more content.